Welcome into the Sunday Fast Break, and for the final time this season, we're joined by former Illini Trent Meacham. I don't think this is the way the Illini expected to lose here in the NCAA Tournament. What are just your initial takeaways from Sunday?
Outside of Sister Jean, I don't think anybody expected this today. You know, March can be cruel. March Madness, you know, it's an incredible time of year. It's an incredible tournament, but it can also be very, very cruel, just how abruptly a season can end. I don't think most of Illini Nation was expecting this. Give Loyola a ton of credit for how they played today. And, you know, when I look back on this year and when I think about this game, this was probably one of the most disappointing losses in Illinois history in their basketball program. But it's so important to have some perspective with that. When you think about where this program was and you think about the fantastic season that they did have this year, one loss doesn't define them, doesn't define these players, doesn't define the coaches. This was a success this season. They're going to hang a Big Ten championship banner, very well deserving. Okay, so one loss doesn't define it, and it also it speaks to how good this team was. It speaks to what this team did for, I think, the university, the community. When you think of a year ago and not even having that opportunity to play, and that's what you want. You want the opportunity, throw the ball up there, step between the lines to play. And the Illini just didn't get it done today, but they had a great season, historic season, and I'm very proud of them.
Where do you think it went wrong for them against Loyola? I think you can maybe pinpoint a couple different things, but really what was their biggest downfall here?
Well, it went wrong from the opening tip. And I thought Loyola, again, you have to give them a ton of credit. From the very beginning, they came out, executed their game plan. I thought defensively they were terrific. You know, they lead the nation in points allowed at 55 points. Illinois only scored 58 today. I thought they got back in transition. They allowed nothing easy. They really plugged in the gaps. And every time Ayo Dosunmu was facing three defenders there, Kofi gets the ball in the post. He's got 2, 3, 4 sometimes on him. They just did a great job of playing connected on defense. And then they really executed, made Illinois work on offense. They put us in some difficult positions with the actions they ran before the ball screen and dribble handoffs, and Cameron Krutwig kind of just controlled the game from the center position. So the Illini just didn't have it today, unfortunately, after a great, great season, and Loyola really played their A game, A-plus game from them.
And they knew Cameron Krutwig was going to be a challenge going into this one, but did you expect him to dominate in the way he did?
The challenging thing with Cameron Krutwig, and I equate him to Nikola Jokic in the NBA.
Yeah.
Very skilled, very cerebral type player, plays below the rim even though he's 6'10 or so. And I think he gave Illinois something they haven't seen all season. Kofi, I don't know if he's ever seen someone like him. And Kofi had his share of, you know, on the offensive end, but Cameron Krutwig put him in difficult positions. He's kind of a point center. They play a lot around him where he's in dribble handoffs, and he's great in the post. He's a fun player to watch. He has experience. He's played in a Final Four before, and that whole Loyola team kind of centers around him, especially on the offensive end, but defensively too. And he's kind of the epitome of their team. They're always in the right place at the right time. Okay, so even if you're not that quick, if you're in the right position, you can be a very good defender.
Now, Ayo Dosunmu, he's always talked about how he wanted to get to this NCAA tournament stage, and for him to have a slow night like he did, or I guess rather morning, I mean, he has had a great career so far, but what do you think just happened there with some of his struggles that we saw?
Ayo, I think, was the pivotal piece in terms of the transformation, I think, of this team, of this program. He was the key guy, and as he delivered just night after night after night, he's been phenomenal. But today, he just could never get it going. You know, he wasn't the only one. Pretty much the whole team could never get it going. Loyola give them a ton of credit. Ayo, every time he had the ball, he was staring down, you know, 1, 2, 3 defenders. They were right there, ready to help. I think the Illini needed to make quicker decisions, needed to reverse the ball. When they did that, they got better looks. But because if you don't, then Ayo's going against 1-on-3, and that's difficult for anybody.
Where do you see Ayo Dosunmu going after this? Of course, he had a very decorated Illinois career, and the next level is up next. I don't know if you've studied at all your NBA draft picks or anything like that, but where do you see him going from here?
I see his jersey going up in the rafters at the State Farm Center. I think that's going to happen. I think he deserves it. I see him having a great NBA career. I think he'll be a first-round draft pick. I think his development in the 3 years he was at Illinois was great. Brad Underwood and staff did a terrific job with him. And as talented of a player as he is, and he's improved with his ability to go left, he's improved his shot, all those things, I really get back to his mental toughness. I think he's just an incredibly tough player that believes in himself, delivers in the clutch, and so I see him having a great pro career. It's going to be fun to follow him, hopefully for many years in the NBA.
What kind of precedent do you think Ayo Dosunmu has just set for this Illinois program and getting them back on the map, essentially?
As I said, I think he's the key guy. As Mr. Basketball in Illinois, he chose Illinois when that wasn't maybe so much in vogue. And to see him deliver on pretty much everything that he set out to do, and I think exceed many expectations, at least mine. You know, he was a great recruit, but I didn't expect him to be a National Player of the Year. He's just had a phenomenal career at Illinois, and I think it's setting the tone for this program to build on. I think Brad Underwood, I think he can point to him, say, look what Ayo did staying home and playing for the Fighting Illini, and the development that he had. I think it bodes really well for future recruits to Brad Underwood's program.
Now, there's still a big question mark with Kofi Cockburn and whether he will declare for the draft or decide to stay at Illinois. Where do you think he needs to be right now?
Kofi's been so much fun to watch his development. I love his demeanor. He's such a physical presence. He could step onto an NBA court right now and have an impact because of his just athleticism, his power. You've seen his footwork improve. He defends without fouling. I do think today's game exposed two things in his game that he needs to improve on. And when you think about ball screens are so prevalent in today's game, especially the NBA level, offensively, he needs to be able to be a playmaker out of the short roll. So on a ball screen, Loyola Chicago was trapping Ayo Dosunmu, for example. Kofi's got to be able to catch the ball in the top of the key area and make decisions. Maybe it's one dribble to get to the basket. Maybe it's a quick pass out for a three. He's got to be a decision maker. NBA bigs are facilitators, okay, and which we saw Cameron Krutwig did. And then on the defensive end, he needs to be able to step out a bit more in ball screen situations, show that he can move his feet, and he's done that this year. I think today it got exposed a little bit, but make no mistake about it, his development has been awesome. His impact on the game, on this program, has been incredible. If he returns, I think he's the preseason, not just Big Ten, but I think he's the preseason National Player of the Year. So very intriguing. I think he's going to have a great pro career. But as an Illini fan, of course, you'd love to see him in the orange and blue next season. Where
do you think this program can go next season? Of course, they're going to be losing a few pieces, but do you think they can get back to this stage again?
Well, this season was a historic season. I think it was a magical season because of so many things. When you think of COVID, you think of all that's gone on in the past year, what this team has sacrificed. And I always say, Illini fans, I think we think you have to have this historic season to make a Final Four run. When you think of 1989, when you think of 04-05, those teams were magical, kind of captivated the heart of the nation in some ways. And this team started to do that, but they might not have the talent, especially if Ayo's not there and Kofi's not there next season. But I think this program is in great hands. I think it's in better hands than it's been in a long time. When I think of the culture that Brad Underwood's instilled in these guys, when I think of Andre Curbelo, Adam Miller especially, I thought they played with the most energy and the most confidence today of anyone. And I start with them, but you just think of the character of guys that he's recruiting, the culture of toughness and togetherness. I think this program's in great hands, and I think they're going to have their crack at many more games in March and the years to come. And you know what? Any given day, a team can win. I think this team will be back and have plenty of opportunities.
Especially with Andre Curbelo and Adam Miller, like you mentioned, do you see them becoming kind of the next faces of the program?
I would say so, and it was so cool to see them step up when Ayo Dosunmu went out there in late February. Mm-hmm. Andre Curbelo's had his ups and downs, and he's a little bit of a roller coaster, but I tell you what, he gets in the game, he makes something happen, and he's eliminated a lot of his mistakes. He's going to be the most exciting player to watch, I think, in college basketball next season. I think for Illini fans, you should just be very excited to see him. The ball is going to be in his hands, and it's going to be a fun ride with him running the show. And then Adam Miller, I've been impressed with his intensity on the defensive end all season. And then over the course of the past few weeks, he's really picked it up offensively, not just a catch-and-shoot guy, but getting into the paint. He did that today. this program, starting with them, is in great hands.
Now, this program just pretty much shot up from, the ground up, what Brad Underwood has done with the culture. I mean, what does that say about a program to climb the ladder so quickly under the leadership of head coach Brad Underwood?
It's incredibly difficult. When you think of the Big Ten, you think of the coaches in the Big Ten. I mean, it's a great conference. And Brad Underwood's reflected on that first exhibition game loss to Eastern Illinois, where they got whooped pretty good. So you think of what he's done is very remarkable. You can't give him enough credit. The staff that he's put together, the extended staff, the culture that he's developed, and I think it's just an exciting time to be an Illinois fan. I think this program is going to be back in the NCAA tournament more often than not, and they're going to have their chances to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. And you should be, as an Illini fan, I think Illini Nation should be very excited for the trajectory of this program.
Now, where do you think they need to go as far as recruiting? What should they look for as they, build this program, given some of the pieces that they might be losing?
Yeah, first and foremost, I mentioned Ayo Dosunmu and getting the best player from Chicago or in-state. That's really key. But I think what this staff has done so well is they've recruited nationally. They've recruited even internationally. And what that does is it takes a lot of the pressure off getting those one or two players from Chicago every year. And it just widens the pool of talent that you're looking at. So they've done a great job. I think that leads with Orlando Antigua. He's got contacts all over the place. He's done a fantastic job. But the whole staff, Chen Coleman, Stephen Gentry, they're great on the recruiting trail as well. This offseason is just going to be very intriguing. Seniors, DeMonte Williams, Trent Frazier, do they come back? You already have Luke Goody coming in next year. There's a lot of praise and excitement for Luke Goody and what he brings as a shooter, a tall shooter on the wing. The big man, if Kofi leaves, that's a real, a position to maybe identify. Of course, Georgie Bashanas-Vili is there. He's more than capable. He's proven that. I thought his energy was great down the stretch. But inside, I think that's a place that this staff will be looking at in the offseason, depending on what Kofi does.
Now, Trent, you had a very long career overseas, playing in Europe. I think that's probably the direction that maybe, Trent or DeMonte are headed right now. I mean, do you see them maybe sticking it out another year, or do you think they could leave right now and have a successful career overseas?
It's going to be interesting. They've already been here 4 years. They're probably ready to make some money. But at the same time, to have another crack at this, hopefully there's fans back in the stands next year that would just add to the experience of playing college basketball. Of course, this team's going to be very good next season, so they're going to be able to make another run in the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament, I believe. But at the same time, they're going to have opportunities to play. It's a great thing about basketball. There's more than one league. You can go play for peanuts but still play basketball and compete. And then I think they could have a chance, if they continue to develop, to play at a high level, make some good money. So I just want the best for them. If they come back, that's great for this team and the program. But if they go on, wish them all the best and to represent Illinois well in their professional careers.
For sure. Now, a lot of our brackets, I think, are busted at this point.
I had Texas in the Final Four.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's been crazy. But, hey, you know what? It's March. It happens. There are really no
you put my bracket up here.
I know, and we were so confident.
It's totally busted. Yeah.
Like everything out the door. But Trent, do you have any, maybe predictions now, given what we've seen so far in the bracket? Is there maybe a team that you didn't think that was gonna, make it to a Sweet 16? I guess maybe Loyola we didn't think would be there. But any predictions at this point right now?
Oh, you're killing me as a former Illini. Like, do I even want the tournament to go on? But yeah, there's gonna be some great basketball. It's been fun to see. Besides Loyola, it's been fun to see the upsets happen. Abilene Christian over Texas, Oral Roberts over Ohio State. There's been a number. Ohio, U over Virginia. I called that one. I got one right.
Yeah.
Okay, I called that one. Loyola is a fun team to watch just because they execute so well. They're so fundamental. They play as a team. So I hope they continue to advance. I know Porter Moser, their coach, so I hope they do well. I'm just going to enjoy the basketball now. I don't have a dog in the race anymore. Just going to enjoy the basketball. If there's one team maybe I'm looking out for, that would be the Baylor Bears, just because Scott Drew I've known him. He recruited me to Baylor, and what he's done for that program has been remarkable. So I'll be pulling for them now, and hopefully there's good games. And Illini will be back next year, I believe.
Yeah, and so many upsets, especially with Big Ten teams. I mean, we know how tough this league is, but for so many of them to get knocked out early, it came as a surprise to me.
It's been a tough opening, two rounds for the Big Ten Conference. And that doesn't take away for how good this conference was. Anything can happen on any given day, and that's what makes athletics so special. You step between the lines, anybody can win. You got to show up, you got to compete. Again, that's what makes this time of year so great, but also heartbreaking. And different fans are feeling that from different sides, and you feel for these players who pour so much into it. But hopefully, just as a basketball fan, we get to continue to see more great basketball games.
All right, Trent, anything else before we let you go for the final time?
Well, I appreciate just being able to come on here all season. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a great ride for Illinois basketball. A terrific season. Okay, to take nothing away from the loss today, it's disappointing. It's frustrating. You would have loved to see it play out differently, but this team has delivered. They're going to hang a banner. They've sacrificed more than any team in the history of Illini basketball. When you think of, they haven't seen their families since the summer. So you talk about that sacrifice. I can only imagine the bonds that brotherhood, those young men, the coaching staff, extended staff has developed over the course of this past year. It's so tough to see it end, but as a former Illini, as a fan, I'm very excited to see it continue, and I appreciate kind of being along for the ride and be able to talk up this team this season.
Yeah, for sure. It's been so much fun and an absolute pleasure. So thank you, as always, for joining us this entire season. Hopefully we'll get to do it again next season, but that'll do it for us for one final time on the Sunday Fast Break. For Trent, I'm Marlee, and we'll see you again next season.